Hey, I'm sorry. Since it is our 47th year, you have to wear this during the interview. No, I'm sorry.
I can if you want.
Hey, welcome to the Continuing Winemaker series here at the Wine Month Club. And boy, what an honor to have Ralph Garcin.
Garcin, yeah, that's the good pronunciation.
It's from Château La Nerthe. But wait a minute. Don't be fooled by his Australian English accent. I figured it out when you told me what it was.
Yeah, you're not the first one to tell me that.
Yes.
It's a mix of my culture, my
Great.
travels.
It's great. So it's great to have you here, and we just tasted through some gorgeous wines, and the folks that are part of the Rosé Club will be getting this Tavel, which is incredible. So tell me a little bit about your history. You seem to have covered a lot of bases in the wine business, but what got you interested in the first place?
I'm just in the wine business because of my passion. It's not like a job; it's more like a passion about wine. So, but first of all, I was more involved in viticulture. So I have the two specialty. Well, we saw in France the two specialties. So I learned viticulture, and then it took me to winemaking. And first of all, I work in the Northern Rhone for a very family-owned business called Chapoutier.
Yes, very
it was
famous.
Yeah, so it was a good start for me, honestly. And Michel was a good teacher when it comes to biodynamics, of course. And then I moved a little bit down south where I'm from, and I worked for Boisson, which is a Burgundy-based company, but I was running their business there. And
Was that Beaune? Were you in Beaune then?
No, I was in the south.
Oh, in the south.
Close to Châteauneuf, because they own the property there, and I was looking after all their business in terms of purchase. And then I decided to quit, and I started my own business in the Southern Rhone now, because I was a bit curious about everything. So I did some expertise for some insurance, and I was a broker in wine too, and I was a consultant in Provence making rosé, and so a couple of several stuff. I'm stable. I was just curious.
It's so interesting. But insurance, what was it? What was the insurance part? Just like insurance, like regular insurance?
Yeah.
Not winery insurance. Not
No.
insurance.
I mean, yeah, linked to the viticulture or wines, of course. Every time you have a storm or a hailstorm, you need to go there and figure out the loss, what we lost in the field. Or I remember once have a very famous restaurant, 2 Michelin star restaurant, who have a fire in the cellar. So I went there to check every single bottle. It was tasting wines. Cooked wines.
Wow, you got insurance, and you got to taste wines that were. That's so interesting.
It was a good job.
That's a great one.
But finally, I decided to go back to production because that's my passion. I'm a winemaker, so I found a position at Paul Jaboulet Aîné back in the Northern Rhone for 7 years as a winemaker.
Wow.
And
Jaboulet,
yeah, making La Chapelle and this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So quite exciting. And almost 3 years ago now, I moved to Château La Nerthe because they were looking for a general manager, and it was for me a good opportunity to become winemaker and manager, so I can run all the business and making my own way to make this range of wine.
And so how many vintages now have you made it?
This is my third.
Wow, it's gorgeous. The wines are gorgeous, folks. And the Château La Nerthe name I've known it for many, many, many years, but we're talking about the exposure to the American palate and getting these wines, because they're all perfectly suited for the American palate. It's just that getting them to understand Châteauneuf-du-Pape and the style, because it's not as voluminous, as aggressive. It seems to be a softer style, which is really, really good. So let's talk about this Tavel. When I saw that, I hadn't seen one in many years. We see lots of provincial rosé, and we see lots of domestic, but I haven't seen a Tavel. And when I showed you the picture of my father, we had Tavel rosés at that store. So what's the story behind the history of rosé and Tavel and what's going on there?
Tavel is a French appellation which is only making rosé. No reds, no whites, only rosé. So that's quite exciting in that perspective because we have no choice. So we have to be very good at what we do. And Tavel is just across the Rhone River, across Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is just exactly the opposite of Châteauneuf in terms of river. So we have the same climate, the same soil types, the same grapes, but we're making only a rosé. And in Châteauneuf, we have no rosé. We have white and reds. So in a certain way, Tavel is a Châteauneuf-du-Pape rosé. So that makes everything very interesting in terms of potential, in terms of power. So we have the Rhone varietals, as you know, Grenache, Cinsault, Mourvèdre, Syrah, but a lot of whites too, like Grenache Blanc and Beaujolais and a bit of Claret. So this rosé is a blend of all these grapes. We're blending grapes. We're not blending wines. So the specificity of that winemaking is, I call it, excuse me, I call it the lasagna process, which doesn't make any sense. But just to give you an image of what we do, this rosé is made of maceration, is not directly pressed. So we put at the bottom of the tank of the white grapes, which have been handpicked, so at the bottom. And after that, on the top of that, we put all the grenache, all the sensor, which are the medium body, medium colored red grapes. So that just helps to release all the white juice from the red grapes. So we have a kind of skin contact with the whites to brings a lot of aromas. And at the top of the tank, we put some very dark grape like Syrah and Mourvèdre. That brings a touch of acidity and just some blue character in terms of color.
It's true though, right? It's getting a little. Is that why you put blue on the label?
Yeah, true.
So what's interesting to me about this one is the aromatics are amazing. Where's that coming from?
This skin contact is coming from the whites actually. So it's a blend of aromas coming from the whites and aromas coming from the reds. But once again, it's made in maceration. It's not like two wines we blend, that would be different.
So you get, because you're still getting 13.5% alcohol, so the sugar's zero.
There is right.
So, but you don't get that impression because there's such wonderful aromatics. And I had to immediately put this into the Rosé Club, folks, because what a great example of Tavel, which we haven't seen for a long time, and just a great rosé across the board of all the ones that we tasted. Just extraordinary. And I love this idea, this blue, it's pink, but I can see this, right? You can see the color, this color.
I think the blue color, if you can have this touch and just give you more live in the wine. So
gorgeous wine.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll stay with the white glass, and now we're going to into the Châteauneuf-du-Pape Blanc, and this is.
So
what
this is
grapes?
Château La Nerthe white. This vintage is 2016. The grapes. This one is mainly a blend of 4 grapes. The main one is Grenache Blanc, and then you have Roussanne, and then you have Clairette, and you have a touch of Bourboulin, which just bring a bit of a citrusy character, a bit of acidity. Everything we're tasting in that range is own farm. It is our own grapes. We don't buy anything. Everything is organically certified.
And first 2 things. One is I didn't know if this bottle is a traditional Tavel bottle. It is, okay.
Yes.
So as well as this, I know this bottle, the Châteauneuf-du-Pape bottle, is traditional. Do you have the bottle in that? Or you can choose the bottle?
No, we can choose. There's no obligation, but as long as you want to use an embossed bottle, you have to take that one.
Yeah, I see, right.
But if you look carefully at this bottle, it looks like a Châteauneuf bottle. This is Château La Nerthe, which is written on the bottle, which is our own bottle.
Yes.
But it looks like a Châteauneuf.
But the crest. I see it.
The crest is our crest.
That's your crest. Okay, so it's not the Châteauneuf bottle. Interesting. Okay. So you mentioned that it's organic grapes, which has certain requirements in the farm. The process is organic as well?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so, and though we talked about the biodynamic aspect of this, which includes the solar, the gravitational pull of the moon and things, we're not doing that necessarily.
No, we don't.
But as far as the cultivation of the grape, the way you nourish the farm, the way you add copper and sulfur into the soil, follows all those rules.
So what the one being organic means we can't use any product coming from the industry. So nothing has to be modified. So every time we use a product, it has to be natural. I mean, we can find it in nature. So that's copper and sulfur to control the disease. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to control the weeds, we have no other opportunity than plowing. There's no herbicide. We have to plow mechanically. So that's the only way we have to do it. So we don't spray anything on the soil. We just spray on the vines, but only copper and sulfur. And sometimes we can use some other product, which are just to add, but natural products again.
But that by turning the weeds into and planting weeds that have particular character and nutrition, you're actually nourishing the soil by doing that.
Yeah. The type of weeds you're gonna plant, if you want to plant some weeds, just to make a colonization of your land, has an impact on the vigor of the vines. So, for example, if you plant peas, If you have more nitrogen in your soil, so you have more vigor. So you have bigger grapes, bigger crop. Could be good, could be bad. Bigger crop means more sensitive to disease, so you have a kind of dilution as well, because you have bigger yield. After that, it's a question of balance. Everything is a question of balance according to the weather conditions, the age of your vines, the capacity, the water resource of your land. So everything is like, we have to know what we do and we have to learn what we do. So every year is different.
And that's the beauty of wine, right?
Yeah, it's never ending.
That's the beauty of wine. I always tell people, well, it's kind of like beer. I said, no, it's not like beer, because if you drink Heineken in 1975 and you like Heineken, you expect it to taste the same every year, right? And that you don't get that with wine. You as the winemaker have to determine what best wine you can make from what you're given.
Every year we try to make the best one possible. There's no recipe, otherwise everybody will know it. So we try to make the best one possible. It's not a question of style, but the style is coming from our terroir, from our land. It's not something we create, it's something we get delivered. So the style is what we have from our land, and every vintage is, if I were a creator of clothes, like Chanel, for example, the style of Chanel, you can recognize it. And every season, the winter season, the summer season will be our vintage.
Yes, right.
So the vintage is different according to the style,
right.
But it's close to the style.
Tell me about the style of this now. This is a Beauvenier.
Clos de Beauvenier, it is our single vineyard selection for whites. It's a small block, very small. We produce only 200 cases a year, but not every year.
Wow.
And which is not what is imported to the US, which is just for the entire world, so which is just very small production.
And we get what, 10 cases maybe?
I don't know, 20, 60, I don't know.
Okay.
We can go further, maybe. So what we do on that wine, we have two whites, but obviously we want to make two different wines. This one is a Roussanne and Claret wine, 70% Roussanne, 30 Claret. So the idea is to have a nose which is driven by the honey, waxy character of Roussanne. So you have a big nose, very expressive, very rich, very bold. And when you expect rich, powerful wine, but when you taste it, the Claret is taking over, and you have more elegance, acidity, and some very funny character. We call it good bitterness in a good way. So just like zesty and this citrusy.
Is that a typical of the Châteauneuf-du-Pape that other manufacturers are using Claret, or is that something that?
Yeah, Claret is a traditional grape which is very used, but normally it's very hidden.
The nose
in
of
the
this
blend.
is just, I mean, it jumps out of the glass at you, and completely different than its younger brother or sister, however you want to call it, but still feminine and still wonderful character. It's gorgeous.
This is also because the vintage is 2014, so we have a bit of age, so we have more complexity. So we have a bit of everything here.
Gorgeous. I think one of the cellar stars here, as far as the value of wine coming from that area, and I taste a lot of Côte du Rhône and Côte du Rhône Village. I got to find a way to bring this into the club. It's one of the best I've had, and this is sort of new to the American market.
Yeah, it's not old. The first vintage we make was 13, so this one is a 14, so it's not that old. So it's not very well on the market yet, but it's just we're starting. This is something we farm. We don't buy any grapes once again. So this is again organic, certified, and this is a Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre blend, very round varietals. Basically fruit driven, easygoing, a lot of richness, very soft. Not harsh tannin. The idea is to have something complex. It's like a small Châteauneuf in terms of density.
But very soft all the way
very
through.
soft.
All the way through was just very approachable for the American palate.
What we try to do is to have ripe tannin. We don't care about the alcohol content. What is important is the ripeness of the tannin, the maturity. And after that, it's aged in concrete to make sure there's no oaky character coming. Just to it comes over the fruit we want to keep. The idea of that wine is soft, fruit-driven, easygoing wine, easy to enjoy.
And you're not getting, sometimes with these wines you get a separation of the Grenache and the Syrah. This is a wonderful balance between the three grapes. The character, it's a classic example of, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's combined to make.
The easiest way to have a good marriage between the three grapes is to make what we call a co-fermentation. So we put all the grapes in one tank during fermentation, so they just marry very quickly.
I see.
If you blend wines, it takes time to marry. So we are side
Right.
by side. If you are married
I
together in
see.
tank, we have a better integration.
But that creates other complexities to the process, no? To understand what's going to come out of it, you have to think ahead of time what you're going to get.
You know, my job during vintage is tasting grapes every day.
Oh, that's it.
I need a good dentist.
You said that with a smile, of course.
No, I mean,
It's great. That's
no,
great.
just tasting. Just tasting. You don't have to think about the taste of the grapes. You have to think about the taste of the tannin when it comes to the rest, of course. Don't mind about the
I see.
aromas, because
Right,
everything which comes from the aromas in wine is not the aromas you can find in grapes. That's different, because everything is in the skin, so you can taste them. So it comes to the quality of tannin, which is when we decided to pick, which is because the tannin are ripe.
I've encouraged my customers and clients and friends that when they see a wine grape at a market, 'cause every now and again you see Muscat grapes at the market. In different parts of town, you might find Pinot Noir actually, or Cabernet. To buy them, not to eat them, but to try and ascertain the character of the wine that you might get from that grape, because it's hard to do, right? But Muscat for sure, you get that when you taste a Muscat grape, you go, oh yeah, I get that. The wine makes sense now, right? So you have to do that every day.
Yep.
Tell us about this Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
So we're beginning with a Cuvée des Cadettes, which is our old vine selection. So the vintage is 2012. So when I say old, is quite old. It's at least 80-year-old vines up to 100-year-old. So that's 3 grapes: Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre. It's not a field blend. That's a blend of 3 blocks, but co-fermented once again, put all together in one tank. So the idea is to have something, as I told you, very integrated quickly. So you have the nose of a Grenache, and you have the extra character coming from Syrah with the quality of the tannin, and you have the spiciness coming from Mourvèdre right away. So everything is just all together. So the idea of this co-fermentation is not an addition of 3 grapes. Maybe we hope we have an extra value, an extra potential. So this is what we try to do with this cuvée. We don't make it every year, but honestly, 8 years out of 10 we make it. So this is
So
12.
that's incredible depth. I gotta wonder how much oak is in here.
It's 100% new oak
Oh
for
wow!
that vintage.
Well, you
Yeah,
don't
it's
get
not
that.
it's not that like that every year, but that vintage was very dense. So
Yeah, so you don't. That would normally the grapes must have been very extracted because you're not getting all that oak, right? It's just balancing things.
the trick in Châteauneuf with oak, that's alcohol. We have to have this quality of tannin. We need to be very ripe. So we have high alcohol, and alcohol is a solvent. So if you put a very high alcoholic wine into a barrel, you extract with
It
a
starts to
lot
break down
of
the barrel.
harsh tannin.
Yes.
So we have to be careful.
Well, that's interesting. And then this, finally, our final wine, right? They're in the wrong order.
Yeah, that's a wrong order, but
Oh,
no
right,
problem.
that's okay.
No problem. This one is our Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Château La Nerthe 14. This is we call it a regular blend. This one is a picture of our property. I forgot to tell, we have a big property. I think we have in the top 5 in terms of size. So we have up to more than 200 acres of Châteauneuf.
Wow.
So
that's
that allows us to have-
450 acres in America.
No, 200 acres. So it's 90 hectares.
Oh, 90 hectares.
90 hectares.
200 acres. Okay, gotcha.
So that's allow us to have a lot of diversity, and we can blend. So we make this blend, which is once again Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre blend, and a touch of Senso. I like Senso. It's a very unknown as a red.
Yes.
Is a
I
Grenache.
don't see a lot of it. No.
But it's very perfumed, so I like that. Up to 5% in the blend, it just give you a lot of aromas.
And this oak.
Yeah, there's some oak, of course, but we don't use oak for Senso, for example, which is very delicate. So we use it for Syrah and Mourvèdre. We need to be a little bit softened in terms of tannin. And when it comes to
So
Grenache,
sweet.
this is big cask. So to have some exchange in terms of air to soften the tannin, but we don't want to lose any fruit. So just big cask helps to have a better Grenache.
Just the whole product line shows just a pedigree, and it shows a lot of passion, because they all have their own exquisite, unique character about them that they're presenting, but there's something similar to them in that they're all quality, and that's
Thank
a
you.
testimony to your experience and your history with the company. And what days do you guys open over there? Because I'm just kidding. It's great having you here.
Thank you.
Ralph, I appreciate
Thank
the
you, Paul.
time, and good
It's a
luck on
pleasure.
the rest of your trip.
Thank you.
Cheers.